Hello everybody, welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 419, we're going to look at Roalesk, Apex Hybrid, and some Proliferate shenanigans. But before we do, I want to give a shout out to a patron, Mr. Chris Thompson. We appreciate you, Chris. Thank you very much. And if y'all would like to be a patron, head on over to patreon.com/Cure for the Common Game. And there's a whole list of options there, and we'll be glad to have you. But let's get into Roalesk. I mean, it's 5 mana for a 4/5 flying trample. You know, there was a day and time where that's all we needed. And when he enters the battlefield, you put 2 1/1 counters on another target creature you control. So you can't put it on itself. That would be a little ridiculous. And then when it dies, meaning it has to hit the yard, we cannot replacement put it in the command zone because that is not dying. So it's got to die and be put into the yard. You proliferate and then proliferate again. Now, I started looking for proliferate things. And I run across the Planeswalker decks. Normally don't have anything worth losing sleep over, you know what I'm saying? Every once in a while they'll have something decent, but I found this guy. I was like, it's a 1/1 flyer. I mean, yeah, it costs 3, but when it deals combat damage to a player, you proliferate. Last time we paid 2 for this in Thrumming Bird, which, by the way, I think I may have messed up and not put Thrumming Bird in here now that I think about it. I don't know. We'll see. But that got me looking at the other cards from the Planeswalker deck, and the Jace's Projection. You know, it's a 4 mana 2/2, but whenever you draw a card, just playing the game, it gets a +1/+1 counter. And then for 4 mana, 3 and a blue, you can put a loyalty counter on target Jace Planeswalker. Well, of course, you know, the Jace Planeswalker that's in there is Wielder of Mysteries for 4 mana. Oh, no. I'm sorry. This is the regular Jace. My bad. The Jace that's in there, I guess we can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, can we? We'll go ahead and read Wielder of Mysteries. This is the one that says, if you got to draw and you can't, you win. And then, you know, the 2 abilities kind of get you there. But the one that's in the Planeswalker deck is, of course, this one. It's, you know, 6 mana, 4 loyalty. +1 draw a card, -7. Creatures you control can't be blocked this turn. And whenever you draw your second card each turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. It's a little soft. But +1 draw a card, I mean, it's not terrible. So then I'm 2 Jaces deep, and I'm 2 Planeswalkers deep. And I had no intention of doing that. And I was like, well, I'm proliferating, so I might as well. So I looked at Narset. Of course, it's an amazing card. Oh, gosh. I know there's going to come a time where I get puzzle boxed Narset, or Narset boxed. Narset boxed? Is that what we're going to... Puzzle Narset? Narset puzzle? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Puzzle box and Narset, where you have to put your entire hand back on top, or on the bottom of your library, and then draw 1. Oh, it's going to be terrible. Alright, Kasmina. Hey, I don't want my opponents to target creatures or planeswalkers I control, so yeah, I'm kind of good with that. And especially these minus-only walkers. The minus-only walkers really need to proliferate. Because, I mean, obviously we want to keep them around, but it kind of almost feels bad to have them just be enchantments and not use that last ability. Although, I mean, 2/2 blue wizard, but you get to draw a card and discard a card, so Then, of course, we have Kiora. This is in there for the untapped target permanent, and we all know it. Tammy. Yeah, I mean, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. That's why we're playing it, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's Mr. Yangu. Deals with 1/1 counters, and it passes out 1/1 counters. Perfect things to proliferate. Then we have Miss Vivian. Now, I like Vivian. I like casting creatures like they had flash. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's kind of where I settled for walkers, and that's it for the walkers. And I'm trying not to. I'll admit that's me holding back. It's just in a proliferate deck, I kind of, yeah, it was rough. So let's look at our mana, shall we? Got a Paradise Druid, a Simic Keyrune, Mana Geode, Gyre Engineer, which I kind of like this, you know? And then Silkwing Scout. Now, what? Yeah, Silkwing Scout, because it's a 2/1 flyer that you declare as a blocker and then rampant growth. Right? Now let's look at some card draw. Now, we're going to start with just mana for cards, Harmonize. I hate that this has become the benchmark from what we choose, even though the reason why I hate it is because Harmonize is the exception. It's not the rule. So we shouldn't get used to this, even though, you know, we have. I put Urban Evolution in the card draw because you're not always going to be able to drop an additional land, but you are always going to be able to draw 3 cards. Similarly to Ghost Spiral. This is a draw card to me. Yeah, you can always dependably draw that card. Contentious Plan, Proliferate, draw card, which is way better than Steady Progress from way back. Some decks I'm using both. Here, I'm just using the Contentious Plan. Coiling Oracle is, I kind of count as card draw. Because, what is it? If you get a land, it goes, so, what is that? 36% of the time, 37% of the time, it's ramp. The other is card draw. So, of course, Cold-Eyed Selkie, just, I mean, it's a little, it's got some evasion. And you draw that many cards. So in a proliferate deck, if we could find a way to, I don't know, put some +1 counters on it, this could potentially draw us a ton of cards. Now, Bred for the Hunt. Whenever a creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Really, really sexy if you've got a 1/1 counter on the Selkie. I guess next we would normally do creatures. You know what? Let's do some lands, because there's a couple lands here I want to talk about, but let's blow through the ones I don't, you know. We've got Gateway Plaza, Simic Growth Chamber, of course the Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic, Rogue's Passage, Guildgate, Thornwood, Transguild, Woodland Stream. But let's look at Karn's Bastion. Obviously this has to be in there, right? I mean, it's a proliferate land. I get to proliferate every turn. All I got to do is tap 5 lands. That's it. So, and then Tyndall Icebreak. Now, this is one that don't get a lot of love. Well, it might, and I just not know it. That's very possible too. But it comes into play with a charge counter on it. Now, we are going to want to use this for generic mana, or colorless. I think this is colorless now. I think it's got a wingding. Diamond mana, if you... but to proliferate this thing up, you never want to use the last counter on it, because then you can't proliferate. So, and then it just becomes a, you know, any color land in a proliferate deck. So, not bad. Now let's look at some creatures. Now, I'll admit these creatures span the board, because if there's one thing that Simic has always been known for, it's +1/+1 counters. So we have Simic Manipulator. Now, a lot of these have Evolve. I'm not going to try to group them because I'll screw that up. But gain control of, I mean, you can remove 1 or more 1/1 counters and just steal creatures, so that's not bad. Renegade Crassus. Wow. Whenever this evolves, put a 1/1 counter on each other creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it. So, wow. Now, the Bioessence Hydra is the... once I had gone down the road of the Planeswalkers, I was like, well, it kind of doesn't make sense. I should be playing with the Bioessence Hydra. Really. Nimbus Swimmer is just a filler. It's a flying with 1/1 counters on that we can proliferate. The Skatewing Spy. You know, Mana Colon Adapt is not bad. But if we're gonna be about that, you know, adapt life, we have to have the Bioessence Familiar. I mean, we have to. Trollbred Guardian also has adapt, and it gives your 1/1 countered creatures. 1/1 countered creature. Well, yeah, I guess that works. Trample. Let's see what other. Do we have any other adapt things here? We have the Growth Chamber Guardian. Yeah. It just has adapt too, folks. That's it. That entire last 5 lines of text does not exist for Commander. It's got Mana Colon adapt. So we have Terramander. Each instant and sorcery in the graveyard makes it cheaper. So that, I mean, it's a 1/1 base flyer anyway. So why wouldn't we play that? I think that gets us for our adapt stuff. Loyal Guardian, of course, during your upkeep, if you've got your commander, hey, 1/1 counter your team. Now, Petrified Woodkin. This, I'll admit, it's going to be hard for me not to try to get greedy with this thing. Although, I mean, it does cost 7, so it's not like this is coming out early. But Bloodthirst X. Bloodthirst X. Now, I've had some success with this in Gruul decks where you can, like, Pyrohemia a whole bunch, and, you know, that many players took that much, and then, rah, you know, whatever. But in this style deck where I don't have that, you know, all players take, you know, damage, that protection from instants matters too. But we're going to try it out just because of the Bloodthirst X really has me, you know, I'll admit, dreaming of Magical Christmas Land. Whoa. Fathom Mage has evolved, so hey, whenever it gets counter placed on it, you can draw a card. Galloping Lizrog is so weird, it's not even focusing. You may remove, when it enters the battlefield, you may remove any number of 1/1 counters from among creatures you control. If you do, put twice that many 1/1 counters on the Lizrog. So it doubles up, and you don't have to, like, kill anything. You can take 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and you took 3 off it. Now this guy comes in with 6, and that's, you know, 9/9 trample for 5 mana. So, and that seems like average. Removing 3 counters seems like average. If we can actually have our Planeswalker out that says our creatures have flash, then we can do this in response to one of them dying. And, you know, if somebody tries to murder something with 10 counters on it, the Lizrog gets really good then. Sidespawn Shambler. Graft. We're bringing down all the Simic abilities because they all involve 1/1 counters. It's weird. Yes, Spark Double, because, I mean, it's what's not to love here. You're going to get the extra loyalty or the extra 1/1 counter, and you can hit... Oh, yeah. Hero's Bane. This is... Yeah. It comes with 4 counters, and then you just spend 4 mana. Now, this is power. It doesn't quite have the same punch that the Pro Black version had, because that was just till end of turn anyway, but this is permanent, and I don't know. I really kind of like it. Cloudfin Raptor, of course, has evolved. Sapphire Drake, check this one out. Each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it has flying. You know, I will pay 6 mana for that. But at what point does a Drake become a dragon? Is it a Drake because it doesn't have arms? I don't know my Drake / dragon, you know, biology there or what have you, but it seems like at a 4/4 body and a 6 mana casting cost, this would be a dragon. I don't know. We have a helium squirter. It can make 1/1 countered creatures fly. We have a skydiver. Put a 1/1 counter target creature you control and mana proliferate. Now granted it's 5 mana, but you know, take what we can get. Experiment 1, it's a good early drop. And then we have the trio of Guild Mages. Simic Guild Mage, Zamet Guild Mage, and the Combine Guild Mage. What have I got here? Removal, of course. The Glamour, Corrosion Grip, Rapid Hybridization. I'll get it out. Essence Capture, which is, counter target creature spell. Now, it is just a creature spell. But you get a 1/1 counter on one of your guys, so that's not bad. I'll counter somebody's commander to put a 1/1, on one of my things. Mutant's Prey. Yeah, it's removal, as is Trigon Predator. Now let's look at what do we got? Just a bunch of shenanigan-looking things. Wow. Y'all remember that one time way back where I thought it was a good idea to buy like 20 of these? Well, as it turns out, this is the deck that needs it. Primal Rage, of course, going to give them all trample. Ooze Flux, because, you know, who doesn't like to make oozes? Path of Discovery. Creature enters the battlefield under your control, so it's not a cast trigger. And, you know, it explores, so that's pretty neat. As far as proliferating goes, Magistrate Scepter seems pretty good. Bioshift. Move any number of 1/1 counters from target creature onto another target creature with the same controller. They had to word it that way so you couldn't, you know, steal all the counters from an opponent's creature and put it on yours at instant speed for 1 mana, you know. So we have Give and Take. You get counters or you take counters and draw cards, you know. Titanic Brawl. It only costs 1 if it's a countered creature. And of course, Hindervines, great card. Jace's Ruse. Here's the 5th card of the Planeswalker deck. You know, it's 5 mana, sorcery. Return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hand. You may search your library and or graveyard for that specific Jace. Reveal it and put it in your hand. So, I don't know. It's a double bounce and a Jace tutor for the weakest Jace in the deck. So, this one may not hang around that long. And then, of course, our last card is Courage in Crisis. Put a 1/1 counter on something and then proliferate. So, that's kind of where my headspace was at with Roalesk. I feel like Roalesk is probably going to be, I don't know. I think time will show that this particular commander is going to have, it's going to go one way or the other. Either every deck's going to be built the same, it totally won't be this way, by the way, or it's going to be all completely and totally different. Well, that is pretty much what I have got. I do appreciate y'all watching. Y'all let me know what you think. But I think right now, I think it's time to shuffle and cut.